Next
Thank you all for joining on this beautiful, sunny, finally Saturday, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's great to see everybody. Maybe since we're a small group, you can just go around. I mean, I think, well, maybe should we wait another? No, we'll just do a few introductions. If you want to just say your name and where, if you're teaching now, what level you're teaching, and if you're associated with an organization, what organization you're associated with. My name is Leah, and I am with CUNY, and I'm the ESOL professional developer. This is my first time presenting at this conference, so it's woohoo. So I'm gonna pass it to Heather, who's my co-host.
Hi everyone, I'm Heather Dutiel and I currently work with New York Public Library, and we use the We Speak NYC videos for our conversation group, so I'm really excited to see Leah's presentation about this, and then I'll pass it over to Ivan, sorry, not sure how you pronounce it.
Yay, Ivan or Iván en español. I am, thank you, I am a language teacher, ESL and Spanish. I have in Zoom online classes with adults at a union here in New York, TWU, and very much like to read about current events, including the politics and voting, and looking forward to this session. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Shawanda?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Shawanda Scott. I'm a lead instructor with the New York Public Library. I teach a 5-6, well, my classes are 5-6, and what else? I don't know. It's early.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kathleen?
I teach at the Arab American Family Support Center in Brooklyn. And I teach level 3. It's the highest level, but it's kind of intermediate. And I just wanted to tell Sam, again, we saw a Thursday, we watched Shumi's Pantry, and he's in it. So the students really loved it. And I've seen the voting video, and I love it. I cry at all of them, but I cry at that one.
Sierra?
Hi everyone, I'm Sierra Stoneman Bell and I work with the Literacy Assistance Center. I don't teach students, but do a lot of work with adult literacy program staff and teachers. And one of the pieces of work that we're building is around voter engagement, and Leah and I have gotten to do some of that work together, so I'm excited to be here.
Great. David? I'm calling an order on my screen.
Hi there, Leah. You know, I have to make a confession. I chose the workshop by the title. I didn't even realize that it was yours. And Leah and I work side by side in offices at CUNY. So I work at CUNY, where I've spent most of the last 15 years creating and writing and producing the We Speak NYC series. And so, with apologies, Leah, I just was drawn to the topic because I
that's
remind
great.
me about something I need to say this afternoon too. But
no need to apologize. So, Sam, since David just went.
Thank you, Leah. My name is Sam Sefnigan. I also work with David Hellman and Leah Human. So I'm from the City University of New York. And I'm sorry, Kathleen, about my appearance on the screen. I hope it wasn't too much. Thank you.
You can tell your students you met the actor in a workshop.
Right. I recognize you immediately. So. You had a problem with buying junk food. That was your problem.
Yes,
I still do.
Wendy.
Hi, Wendy. I am. I'm a retired ESL teacher from DOE and also working CUNY before. And now my focus is just helping to do these workshops, ABE ESL workshop, annual workshops, and thank everybody participating and presenting. And also I joined NYU for literacy review, the workshop organization. That's my major job. In this way, I can continue touching the base with my beautiful colleagues and with some of our students. And I really want to know how can we teach, how are my colleagues are teaching. That's why I'm here.
I am Brad. I'm Wendy's husband and co-conspirator in this conference, helping to keep it going. It's been going for 40 years, and next year we will be
44.
Full 44, yes. And next year it'll be in person.
Oh, wow.
Which we're looking forward to at the High School of Fashion Industries.
Okay. Diana? Or I'm going to move it to Michelle.
Hi, good morning. I'm Michelle with the New York Public Library, and I work with Heather and Shawanda, and we love We Speak NYC, so I'm looking forward to this workshop. Thank you.
Great. Gregory, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, sorry, Michelle, I confused you with one of my colleagues. I sent you a salutation.
Oh, good morning. That's good.
Yes, good morning. Yes, my name is Gregory Ramsden. I teach for NYCC through the Consortium of Worker Education, and I teach English as a second language, and that's it. It's just me.
What level are you teaching, Gregory?
You know, that's a great question, because I really don't care.
Okay.
No disrespect. No, I really throw the book out when it comes to that. I tell my students, to me, the way I see it, and please tell me if you see it really any differently, that each student is his or her own level. And if you have 16 or 26 or 60 students in a class, you have 16 or 26 or 60 levels in that class. And I've worked myself to teaching to each of their levels. Officially, I've been classified as level 1, 2. It's a combination. But like I said, I really throw the book out. I don't really want them. First of all, I don't want them to feel stigmatized by the label of it.
Okay.
And I reach them on their own level individually.
Got it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
All right. So I am going to, I'm going to share my screen, and actually in just a second, let me get my presenter view open. So today I'm just going to share, let's see if I can do that, and then I can share my screen. There we go. Okay, can you see this? Before we launch, and I just in the chat, if you can put a number between 1 and 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. Whoops. How let me check my chat up here. With 0 being not at all, and not at all, and 10 being absolutely. Put your, how comfortable are you teaching about government?
So
just put a number in the chat. So we've got 5, 10, 8. Okay. All right. So it seems to be sort of between 5 and 10. All right. How comfortable are you teaching about specifically about elections? Sort of similar. Okay. Okay. Got a 1.
Do you mean voting or specific offices?
Voting in elections, sort of.
Okay, because 10.
How they work, yeah. What about current events?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Oops. Okay, so again, pretty high. Social issues, and that can be how you define it.
Mhm.
All right. We've got some very comfortable, some not quite as, and we'll have a little bit of time to talk a little bit more about this. And what about you're comfortable teaching about ways to advocate for ourselves, our families, and our communities?
I am 10.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you, Kathleen. You're going to have to share with us. All right. So looks like fairly comfortable with these issues. And so, like I said, we're going to have a little bit more time to talk in groups about this, actually in the context of the lessons. So for today, what I'm thinking is in our time together, I'm going to share a little bit about how this came to be, this presentation, the resources that we developed, and specifically today, the ones that were geared towards high beginning level, which, you know, again, that's people can define that. And I let students, actually, this was, you know, I let them sort of define themselves in this context, and then kind of figure out how you might use these, and what kind of supports you could use, and I'd love feedback on basically on these, what we put together. And during the time that, like, there's your teacher hat, and then I'm going to ask you to put on your student hat sometimes as we're going through a few of the lessons. So just a little bit about the context, and we have Sierra here, who is very involved in this. Last summer, we got a mini grant. The Literacy and Justice Initiative is a project through the Literacy Assistance Center. And if you have any questions about it, you should send a chat message to Sierra or email her. She's here and can answer questions afterwards if we have time. And their goals are to engage adult literacy students in movements for racial, social, and economic justice, build solidarity with the wider social justice community to advance adult literacy education as part of a comprehensive equity agenda, and significantly expand educational opportunities for the 2.2 million adult New Yorkers in need of literacy justice. And so one of the things that they did is they had a voter engagement project. And so our CUNY PD team got a mini grant. And the goal was to increase voting in the elections last year, and both in the spring and then in the fall. And they did. These were some of the preliminary results. And so what we did is we used the money to pay teachers, and then I did the high beginner ones to develop lessons. And so there were my high beginner intermediate ones were kind of in the context of my voice, my future. And then there's some advanced lessons that were about voting in the United States. And it was more in the context of the history of voting rights. There was a project, and then there was a pre-HSE math and HSE math, which was your money, your taxes, and the stories of voting, which was for the HSE ELA. And I'll show you where they're all housed. So you all are here today. Does anybody want to just say briefly why you think we should teach voting? Anybody want to share?
I have become very passionate. I teach citizenship on Fridays, and I say you pay taxes, you know, whether you pay taxes directly, income or not. The tax money goes to the government. Who designates where that money's going to go? Your representatives. You need to vote for the people who send the money where you want it to go. If, you know, if you don't participate, you have to participate. If you don't participate, they don't care. You know, I always say they don't want us to vote, you know, and therefore you need to vote because they're not going to make it easy for you.
Okay.
And
Thank you.
I just say your money goes here. You have no control over that, but you can tell them what to do with it.
Thanks.
And it could be to their home country, it could be to education, it could be to roads. You know, you're gonna need to talk to them to tell them why for your community it's essential, because they don't care about your community. I mean, I set it up like that. They need to know. They care if they know. If they don't know, they don't care. You
Thank
need
you.
to tell
Yeah.
them.
So that's actually some of the and how this voting project came to be is because when there's low voter turnout in some communities, right? And so they wanted to part with nonprofits to help. So some of the things that we came up with, right, is the effects of low voter turnout on our students' lives. If people aren't showing up at the polls who can, then they don't have a voice, right? And so their needs, and then the campaigns don't go to them to find out what, they don't campaign on their needs and their issues. It's really rich content. So in the GED and social studies test, like 50% is civics and government now, 20% is US history. And, you know, participation helps our democracy. So, okay, so now I'm actually going to go back to, I'm going to show you, and so a little bit about my context, actually. Let me stop sharing. I did a survey with both of, so last summer I used Shola's voice for I did an intermediate for 3 weeks and a low level, a high beginner for 3 weeks. It was about 6 hours, 4 hours a week, so about 12 hours total. So what you have here, the lessons that I put together are kind of the bones of what I think could be developed. And that's why I'd love to, if we have time at the end, to take a little bit to see what you might do more with it. I came at it from, I did a survey, an anonymous survey that was to find out how many people were US citizens. In one class, it was higher. I think it was over 50%. In the high beginner class, it was like one person was a US citizen. So I kind of anticipated that our students, many of them cannot vote, are not eligible to vote in elections here. And so it was in the context of my voice and how, and voting is just one way. And the voting part came at the end. It was not top down saying you need to vote because. So I'm going with that. I'm going to share how to get into the lessons, and I'm going to take you through some of them. So, oops. Okay. So, and you'll get this link. So it's a Google Drive, and you'll see these are where the lessons are housed. The ESOL lessons are here, and then the high beginner ones are here. And so I'm just gonna start now. You guys are gonna put on your teacher hats. All right. And this was the first day. This was not, these Google Slides are not the full 2 hours. So these are just the parts. And let me do this, and then you can see. Okay, so today we're going to do vocabulary, small group interviews, meet the characters, and then start the video. Does anybody have any questions about these, take a minute to read these words. And does anybody have a question about how to pronounce? What number would you like help pronouncing? Anybody have a number?
5.
5. Voices. Can you repeat voices?
Voices.
Voices. So the way this is, it's a pronunciation machine. I say it, you repeat. I say it, you repeat. When you're okay, you say, okay. All right. Voices.
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 Okay, I think this is Gregory. Voices.
Voices.
Okay, everybody else, it's only Gregory. Voices.
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 You okay? So when you're okay, you say stop.
Oh, stop.
Okay, good. So then we would continue that until and so the way I did is I started with pronunciation. Anybody have questions about meaning? And I'm to save time, in the presentation notes are the definitions, and this is where I talked about the meaning of these different, and most of them were not new to people, but and then there's also a link to the map of Trinidad and Tobago, and we talked about that for some context of the video. So now, can you, tell me about this picture. What do you see?
There's a woman with curly hair.
Okay. Sorry, I'm usually, because I'm in presenter view, just a second, I'm going to do something different. Sorry. Do it how I would do it with students. There we go. There we go. Whoops.
So it says that she's host, so maybe she's the co-host of a Zoom meeting.
Okay. So, right. So she has curly hair. Maybe she is a co-host of a Zoom meeting. Anything else?
It looks like she's talking.
She looks like she's talking. Anything else? So my students said things like, she's pretty, she's and they did bring up the Zoom host thing.
I would say she also looks happy or excited about something.
All right. And what questions do you have about her?
Where are you from?
Okay, so maybe where is she from? Anything else? Oops.
Who is she?
Who is she? Right. Oops. And I'm
That's
sorry.
She is the host of what?
What is she saying?
What is she saying? All right. Thank
Who
you.
is she talking to?
Who is she
She's
talking to? Right. Thank you. So I'm not going to do this now, but students read this out loud. They took a minute to read it. And then, so just take a minute to read this. And then take a minute to read this as well. Okay. And so I think I was going to have in in groups. But I think I'm going to skip this. I was going to have you in groups talk about what we did earlier, the kind of voting and why you placed yourself on the spectrum where you did. But actually, I think we will do that. I want to give you each 4 minutes in groups of 3. Just take 1, 2, 3. There's one. I'm gonna give in groups of 4. Just take a minute and think and talk about why you placed yourself on the spectrum of I feel comfortable talking about elections or not. Okay. And because we did do breakout rooms, because this is related to the interview that you'll be seeing. So we're going to have like 4 minutes. All right. I know sometimes you get cut off mid-sentence and you're and I know that was a big topic, but I thought it's actually important to step back a little bit and think about what we're doing in context. So any kind of high level takeaways from that you want to share? I heard in one group talking about that sometimes students don't come in to a class wanting to know about voting, right? And so I think that's really important that you take into consideration what your students are interested in. And what I like about Shola's voice, what we're going to get into, is that it's very relatable. And it could be go into voting and elections, but it's also about a lot of other things. Anything else that came up?
I mean, I would only say that we just scratched the surface. I mean, it would be great to have a longer conversation, because there's so many issues related to the topic of teaching about elections.
Yeah.
Some of the couple of them that we referred to was just a level of preparation, our own knowledge, and the question then how to, for people who aren't citizens and don't vote, what avenues do they have and what role does democracy? It's all these things.
Yeah, right. Thank you.
Leah, may I ask you a question?
Sure.
Yes, you said earlier that sometimes you go into a class and there are students there who don't necessarily want to vote. Do you look at those moments as opportunities on being able to sell them on why they should vote?
No. And I'm going to go into the lessons now, because I don't, but just to say kind of,
okay. Right.
No, I don't personally. But that again is part of a much larger topic, but I think this is a nice way to actually get at it another way. So yeah. So I actually really appreciate that question, because I think this is actually a nice way to access access it. Okay, I'm going to go back to share sound. Okay, so this was what the students did in groups. They did interviews. And then we introduced this nice character, and we did the same thing. Tell me about this picture. What questions do you have? And we did a little dictation. The sentences were, this is Shola. He is the housekeeper. Number 3, she cleans and keeps our workplace tidy. And number 4, she is a great employee. And students did this, and then we checked your work. And then we're going to watch the very beginning of Shola's voice. So I'm going to show you what we did just the first day. And there we go. Oops, okay. Oops. Everybody see this? Ah, sorry.
We'll be ready in 5 minutes, Dere.
Ah,
Thanks. Just going over some notes here. We'll be ready.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to the interview.
Me too.
Anytime you're ready, boss.
The boss is ready.
Roll cameras.
and that was it. That was it for the first day. And now I'm just going to go actually right into take you into the second day. Sorry, I'm finding.
Sorry, Leah, you had 2-hour classes? Or
Yes, they were
okay.
2-hour classes, and like I said, this was not the whole this was not the entire 2 hours. This session, we did some other intros, and so let me just stop this. Sorry, go back to the to show you where we are now. Oops.
While you're doing that, Leah, I just
Yeah.
want to say I love the simplicity and the elegance of just seeing that, having seen that picture of Keisha Khan by itself, and then seeing her in the context of that video. Just that simple, very minimal picture was so helpful, I think, for me putting my student hat on.
Yeah.
Just, oh, I recognize that person. I know a little bit. I thought it's just so valuable, I think.
Yeah, yep. And like, so I will say in this video, I only showed about 22 minutes of it. We didn't get into the part where the bullying of the parents, and it was really just focused on her becoming interested in. So can you see now? I'm on the show list deck. Can you see this? Yeah, okay. So this is where you could put the slides from before if you want to do a little review. We did some more groups. This time we introduced this woman. And again, tell me about this picture. What questions do you have? We talked about this. And so here, so this we talked about, she's a candidate for city council. And so city council is one of our elected representatives. Who else? What other people represent us? We've got the city council member. What are some others that you know?
Mayor.
Mayor, okay. What else?
Senator.
Senator, okay. What else? Anyone?
Representative.
Representative, okay. Anything else?
Public
president.
advocate.
Public advocate, okay. Somebody said president, I think. All
Borough
right.
president.
Governor, borough president,
City council.
city council we had. So I'm gonna now, we're going to do, and this we did as a together, if you're in person, oops, and that's not what I wanted. Nope, sorry. This is the Jamboard. Okay. So when you open it, it'll ask you to make a copy. And so you will make a copy. And here we have the elected representatives. So down here, we have, and students would read these off, House of Representatives, Borough President. We've got these down here. We have these columns, the national, United States, the state, and the city. Can somebody tell me where would we put the mayor?
City.
City. Okay. What about the president?
National.
Okay. Anybody want to tell me another?
City council member.
City council member goes where?
I think that's the
City.
city.
Okay. Borough president?
City.
Okay. So again, we would take these and House of Representatives. If somebody said here.
National, right,
Yes,
yeah.
that's the national, right?
Right.
Assembly member.
That's tricky.
State,
Yeah, it's actually state. And what about senator? We got two senators.
national and
Right.
state, yeah.
Yes, right. So last year, there was actually, when we were doing this, was the state senator election. So it was important that they knew that. So we've done this in person too, with newsprint in groups. So this is just an activity that you could do.
Yeah.
So back to Shola's voice. And here we go. So again, these are the vocabulary words for the second one. And here we get into some of how city government works. This is taken from the We Speak website. And we read through these. It gets into the city council members. And a little bit about budgets and city hall. In groups, we talked about some family budgets and how we spend money. And just take a minute to read this. All right. So, and then we're gonna watch.
Leah, is this new material that you added in the past year or so?
Yes.
Because it's great. I mean, it's great. I was hoping you guys would add more, so sounds like.
Yeah, so, and I will say, David and Sam can speak to this. These materials are not yet on with the materials.
Oh,
So I
okay.
had access, I had inside information so I was able to take a lot of screenshots that are now here in the slides.
Got it.
So we're gonna go now and watch through 214. Whoops. And we go back to here. Oops, sorry. I was more adept at this when I was doing it last summer. All right, here we go.
Good evening and welcome to the show. New York City, like our country and our world, has passed through a period of history unlike any other in recent memory. There have been highs, dancing in the streets after the national election, and there have been terrible lows. A pandemic that took the lives and livelihoods of friends, family, co-workers, that kept us apart and sometimes terribly alone. Thankfully, our first responders, so many of whom are immigrant New Yorkers, responded with courage, selflessness, and love for our neighbors.
So that is what I showed that day. Whoops, here we go. And oops. No, I'm sorry, here we go. Oops. We actually then showed, whoops, sorry. Showed just this picture, and we talked about this. And then we actually developed a lot of language around that. What do you see? What questions do you have? What do you not see is also, I think, a nice question to add. And then we went back and watched the part where can you see this?
Oh, what am I going to do? Shinji.
Hold on. Excuse me. I need your help.
I can't do the interview wearing this. I'll be right back.
In New York and the whole country and even the world, there were peaceful Black Lives Matter protests.
Sorry, I actually ended a little bit before that, in that section. So, and then their homework was to find out the name of their city council member and the name of their state senator. This is certainly something I would do in class if you can. But they're, yeah, so, and then I'm going to go back to where we are here. So we, in the third, how are we doing for time? In the third slide deck, we get a little bit more into the word matters. So we reviewed, we talked about the homework. We got into the word matter, how, you know, you can, there's two meanings. You can talk about it's important or whether it's a problem. It doesn't matter, it matters to me. And then they brought up actually, what's the matter? What's the problem? There's actually a nice video that I'm not going to play now that has people talking about what matters to them. And it's in the context of the pandemic, but people, and I chose just a little clip. There's the song It Matters to Me by Faith Hill. And that was kind of where we did for, and we actually didn't watch any of the video that day. And then for the fourth one, was pretty it was a lot depending on using the dialogue clips that I had gotten and screenshots from those. So we got into these words. So just take a minute to look through those. People weren't so familiar with living wage and wage. Housing. And then we took some screenshots about the interview to pre-read these before watching. So I think, oh, all right, something's going on in my building. So I'm gonna share the part that we watched here. He said, kindly disregard, they're just testing their system. So, oh, okay.
That brought people of all races together in the street with the vision of a better society.
There's a boutique down the block. Can we find something quickly there?
Maybe. We have to do something.
I'll try.
Would you like to wear this?
There's the hope for America to
This
finally
is
live
so
up to
beautiful.
principles. But it's up to all of us to continue to demand change and to leaders who
Thank
listen
you.
to the voices of the community. This has been a historic year, and this year there will be an important election in our city. We will choose our mayor. We will choose our city council and others who will lead our home into the future. What kind of people do you want to choose? The choice is in your hands, in your vote. On our program, we will introduce candidates, the people running for office. We will learn what matters to them, and you will think about what matters to you. Our first guest is Darren Korkmaz, who is running for City Council. Welcome, Darren, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Keisha. It's an honor to be on your show. And it would be such an honor to represent the people in this district.
Tell us, why are you running for City Council?
Well, the City Council passes bills that can improve the quality of life of our families, our friends, our whole community. Jobs and job training, healthcare clinics, affordable housing, daycare, playgrounds for our children. As a member of City Council, I will represent the needs of our diverse community.
We are diverse here. As an immigrant myself, I believe we need a strong voice for immigrant needs. Adult education, living wages, affordable health care.
I want to be a voice for immigrants. I want to give us a reason to vote.
Well, you are giving us some good reasons. But what do you say to working people who say they don't have time to vote?
I tell them about early voting. You can vote early, by mail or in person. Also, I urge people to make a plan for how and when they are going to vote.
You hear that, friends? Make a plan to vote. The more people in our community who vote, the better it is for our community.
That's right. People in power will pay attention to us if we vote. Also, about the people who live in our community, I would like to tell you a little story about the blouse I am wearing. It is not
And we talked about, what could that be? What story could that be? So their homework for that evening was to talk with a US citizen they know about voting. And then they were given this this image to write questions and sentences about this one image of Shola. And then with the slide deck 5 is where we brought more kind of about what elected officials can do for us. And we the advanced level slides have some nice ones about the pictures of the representatives, who they are. And so we went through those people who represent us. There's Biden, there's Harris, there's some other representatives. And again, a little bit about the levels of government. This is an interview. I love that when we're teaching, oftentimes, whatever we're teaching about, different things in the world, like bring our attention, we're like, oh, we could bring that into the classroom. So this was an interview I heard about Richie Torres, the representative in the Bronx. And there was a woman who called in about an immigration issue. And he said, yes, definitely call my office. We'll do what we can to help you. So I linked to that as well, and we listened to that. And there's the transcript, so you can actually see the words of the person. It's Brian Lear, who I'm a fan of, and so you can actually see the transcript here. Whoops, I'm not gonna do that right now. And so we got into the word issue. What is an issue? We went back to, as members of our city council, to represent the needs, and they read through this. So she talks about jobs, job training, affordable housing, daycare, playgrounds. What else? What is she missing? What other issues are there? Do you want to call out a few? What are a few other issues?
Health, medical.
Health. And we brainstormed. Are there any?
The environment, environmental justice. Right. And they came up with a list of issues. Education was important to a lot of our students. So I shared, this was an email that I had gotten, and this is animated actually. So parents in a Brooklyn public school got an email. I actually got this email last spring, or may have been over the summer, that a city council, and this was, they were cutting the school budget. And they weren't going to, so we talked about, what, sort of looking at this purple, and what some questions about it. And these are in the presenter notes. What number district is this? Right. What is a parent forum? And it's to hear about our collective fight to restore the millions in education cuts. And then it's an invitation to join this city council member, Shahana Hanif. We then read through this, and which was the comptroller talking about that, make sure your city council member was on. So a way to encouraging people to contact their city council member. And so, oops, can you see this? This is him. And then as you can see, there's the transcript here, so you can actually follow along where he's talking about encouraging people to contact their city council members. So that was just an example. So it was sort of the context of the city council can help us with
our elected officials can help us with personal issues like immigration, but also more social issues like education funding. And oops, 1219. And then we got into, have you ever called your representative? None of my students had. So we watched this video. So I'm going to share this video, which is wonderful. Oops. And this was, oops. This was university settlement. Oops.
Yes, hello. My name is Cristina Bezares and I study English at University Centerman.
My name is Fort Chiu and I study English at University Settlement and I live in the Daniel Jones district.
I live in Margaret Chen's district and I am calling to ask the City Council to restore funding for after-school and child care programs.
Yeah, I'm calling to ask the City Council to restore funding for after-school and childcare programs.
These programs are vital for people in our community. Thank you.
Because these programs are very important for people in our community. Well, I'm very glad to hear that. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
These programs are vital for people in our community. Thank you. Happy New Year. Bye.
Oops. So that was I love that example. And going back to sorry. Okay, so and so we also this day got into the part where she talks, this is her sister who has a situation in her apartment. We did some pre-activities of this. So actually I'm not going to play this part of the video, but it's a really nice clip of them meeting the city. Somebody from the campaign happens to be the woman who was at her job, who she lent the blouse to. And then for the last day, it was a lot of the episode. This is Shola's husband, who's skeptical about politics. We talked about how does he look, and their conversation. They could actually have her over to her home, this candidate. And I really appreciate that he's like, politicians, I don't know, they just want power. But Shola's becoming more, she's convinced that there might be more to that. And then we went through this, and I'm gonna just share the last part of the video. Oops, that's not it.
You don't have to say anything if you don't want.
Oops.
But I am sure.
My name is Shola Olatunji.
Oh.
I'm an immigrant. I'm not running for office. I'm not trying to win your vote. But I want to say, voting is important. Democracy is important. It gives us the power to choose our leaders. We need to choose people who can make changes in our community, solve problems like paint that is peeling in old buildings, asthma, high rent, other issues. My son was bullied at school because some parents educate their kids with wrong information about immigrants. There is a vaccine against coronavirus. We also need a vaccine against hate. I believe that education is the vaccine for that disease. And part of that education is learning about the candidates and the elections. Everyone all over the world knows New York. And we live here. This is our home. I believe we can make it better.
Hopefully our first.
So we're out of time. I really wanted to get feedback and talk about like how you might use these, and so I apologize. I think we're supposed to give you feedback forms, right, Heather? Any quick
I have one.
Yeah,
if
sure.
I were teaching, I'm retired. It's been a long time. You gave a whole lot of great material. Was this intended as a resource for other teachers, or did you?
Yeah. So these are, thank you. Yes. So these are all housed in a Google Drive. I think it might be helpful for me to put them actually in lessons, right? With like the hard copy.
That was the next question.
Yeah.
Or like I was saying, wow, there's a lot of stuff. Is this a culminating lesson? Just just across the week? There's a lot of great stuff to get in there, and then you had the interactive stuff with it, Yeah, it would be great to have if they were
Yeah,
presented as
so
a package.
glad you asked. Great segue. They are all housed in a Google Drive. If you go to Collect Ed New York, which is a website that has information for, and let me just share the screen really quickly. And oops. So this is the website, and they're actually right here. These are the voter engagement lessons.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And they also have the other ones, the ones that are for ELA, and the higher level one that culminates with a history of voting rights. So there's a lot there. Yeah. Right now, these are just in Google Slides, and all of the notes are in the notes for the Google Slides. And there's actually one document at the beginning that says each has a little summary for each of the slides. So and they're labeled by the numbers. So, but yeah, I'd be happy for people to be making copies and using and adapting. Like I said, these are really just, there's so much there. I mean, Sam and David, there's so much in each episode that I really feel you could do a lot that's not even related to voting, but with issues that are important to people. Yeah.
Leah, I want to say that's fantastic. I love the way you segmented it. It's just the scaffolding is amazing. It's beautiful. And so one point quickly, that is that Shola's Voice mentions this year is we'll elect our mayor.
Yes.
Which of course we want to point out to the students, it's not, but we are electing our district, the city council, so, and other positions. So that's important.
Thank you. Yeah. Yep.
My question is though, so how many, maybe you said it early on and I missed it. How many sessions did this take place over? And did you have students going online and watching the full episode while you were breaking it down? And did that cause any issues or not?
We didn't. I mean, they could in between sessions, but I didn't have them watching the whole thing. It was just the sections that we were watching. Yeah. And it was 6.
And how many sections were there? How many sessions were there in this?
6. There were 6, and they were each 2 hours, and this wasn't the whole part of the 2 hours. So, yeah. And I know I want to give Sierra a chance to say an event that's coming up soon that you could become involved in. So go ahead, Sierra.
Oh, thanks, Leah. This was fabulous. I loved seeing all the details, and you walked through it. Thank you. Well, if you're interested in more on teaching around the elections, the Literacy Assistance Center is partnering with the New York Civic Engagement Table, and we're holding a teach-in that's meant for adult literacy program staff to get more tools for this kind of work. And it's going to be on May 17th from 1 to 3 online, and I'll put the registration link in the chat. Thanks.
I'm also going to put, there's a website, it's called Awakelet, where we have all the lessons. We also have Shola's Voice. We also have the video links to the videos that I showed, the other videos, and NYC Votes is a website that has information about the candidates when they're not quite there yet, but they have in a few different languages. So that's all there too. I'm just going to put that link in the chat, so you can find everything housed there as well. That's also on the Collect Ed website, this link. Whoops, I just did it to Heather. Sorry, I need to send it to everybody. There you go.
Yeah, Leah, this is so useful, even though I'm not facing the student to teach, but this material is so rich. And would you be kindly left some materials for us? We can keep this, to put on our website, so the teachers who didn't have chance to come to your workshop, and then they can get the materials. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And
definitely.
I think this is connected with We Speak New York. It's perfect. So from your session, and then we go to the, plenary, we can get more things. It's really great. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And really, if people use this, I would love feedback. So, yeah, and do the survey. You put the link in.
Yeah, the link is in the chat. I can put that back again, just so it's down at the bottom. Oh, it looks like David is speaking, but you're on mute.
Leah, you use this as part of a sustained content on civic engagement and democracy. Would you encourage also, how do you think it would work for teachers who are just using this as a unit in another theme? Any equal thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, I've actually been thinking like, especially with the elections coming up, it would be, I mean, this is not quite your question, but just like a kind of succinct about the primaries that are coming up, right? And so all of the city council members are actually up for election this year. But I think it could be with if people are interested in certain issues about like education. She talks about adult education, how actually another project that the Literacy and Justice has is the Memoria project, which somebody did a workshop on as well, also related to using your voice. I think because I mean, she's a housekeeper, it could be about work. You know, there's the host of the show. It could be, there's a career kit about entertainment and all of the different careers that come up in it. There are, I mean, they're also rich. You could be New York City related, and neighborhoods, because the city council members represent different neighborhoods. I think, I mean, they're limitless, right? Anybody else have ideas?
Well, there's the bullying aspect too.
Yes, right. Yeah,
So,
which we didn't even get into. Parenting, public schools. Yep.
maybe it would encourage some people to go and visit a community radio or TV station.
Yep. Yeah. And also, or inviting some representative to your class. Yeah. Vaccines, healthcare, the pandemic, actually the protests at the beginning, you know, that's related again to using your voice, but and then just what matters to you, like personally, like, you know, what matters, not social issues, but like what's important to you, like, you know, we bring our whole selves to our classes, right? So, oh great, somebody signed up for it, Sierra. Right. Well, thank you. I think we're good. Yeah, definitely let me know if you have questions about this. If you have questions about the other ESL materials, the high beginner one used a change agent article. It was only, of the 6 sections, only 3 were Shola's voice, so it just went a little quicker. And there was a change agent, a couple change agents from the Stand Up Be Counted about voice. One is about, you can see them all in the Google Drive. But those are the other slides. So thank you. Enjoy your day.
Thanks,
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Bye-bye.